So, this week, me and Koroy were moving, I think it was 1.5 cubic meters of this really, really hardwood, Vesi, that, well, we bought off our uncle. And, yeah, for those of you who don't know, we're trying to build our house right now, or we're getting prepped to build a house in the village.
And wait, and those who don't know about Fiji hardwood, it is so heavy. Like in Canada, our pine, I can lift it, no problem.
Oh yeah, pine here is like, I actually don't know if there's a wood in Canada or a tree in Canada that is even as hard as the pine is here.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember you asking me, we were out in the bush to pick up some wood. I don't know if it was Vessi or what it was. Do you remember we hiked together? It was like, I had no shoes on.
Yeah, right, it was Vessi.
And you were like, come pick this up. We're by that big pond.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't pick it up, and I'm like, what the heck? And I don't consider myself I'm not an excessively strong woman, but I'm not weak.
No.
And so I was pretty shocked.
Yeah.
To not be able to actually haul it out.
It's crazy.
And it wasn't a big piece of wood. So I'm like, dude, that stuff is intense.
Yeah. So there was 1.5 cubic meters. It's like 30 2x4s and 8 4x6 inch, big pieces.
Okay.
And so me and Koroy carried it all over.
Wait, you carried it? You didn't use a tractor?
No, we carried all the. So we were like, let's carry all the big ones first, and then we'll carry the small stuff, the 4x2s or 2x4s, which is that's the weirdest part about Fiji, to me, when it comes to the hardware stuff is in Canada, and maybe it's just in North America or something, but do they do that in Australia? I don't know. Maybe you guys can answer this.
Why are you asking me? Do I look like I'm Australian?
Yeah, mate. So this is our second time on video. So welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us on the Walk of Family podcast. And we're discussing all the important things in life.
And we're 2x4, what Aussies say.
Yeah, so we're going to get to your guys' questions and stuff like that in a little bit here.
Yeah.
But why... Is it like a Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere thing? Because in North America, we say 2x4, 2x6, 1x4. The small number is always first.
Yeah.
But here it's 4x2, 8x2, or 6x2. It's what are you talking about? I can't, it took me so, and you know what? Now I'm getting to the point where I can't say it the other way.
Oh.
Anyways, we carried over all the big stuff because we're we're going to put the small pieces, the smaller pieces underneath. Okay. And because they're a bit crooked, and they'll put the big ones on top. Okay. So bring the big ones over, set them beside, put the small ones on the rack, and then we'll sort it out. So the other day we carried all the big ones over. We got tired. We're like, we'll finish this another day. And then today we carried one small one over, and I put it on my shoulder, and my shoulder feels fine. But when you put 100 pounds on it, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this.
And wait, honey, you own a tractor, so congratulations.
Yeah.
You could also just utilize that.
Yeah. And so that's what I thought about first thing. I was like,
men will be men.
All right. I was like, great, let's just try using the tractor. So we did
you know what? That's why you need a wife.
20.
That's why you need me here to be honey.
I don't know about that.
Maybe just use the tractor. Maybe we don't need to pretend like we're superheroes and pick up the wood because you own a tractor.
There's probably 16 to 20 pieces left, and I was like, oh, this could be a long morning.
You were just so impressed with how strong Croy is. You're like, impress me. Let's haul this wood over together. Let's be men
together. He's strong. He is strong. You know what? So, anyways, in the end, we pulled it all over with the tractor, and it was 3 trips. And we just brought it over, unloaded it. Yeah. It was 45 minutes. We were done.
Wisdom of a woman. I'm glad you guys.
Are you impressed by Corey?
I actually haven't seen him lift anything.
You're talking about him a lot. No, okay, guys. This comes from. So there's a vlog actually that we did. I think I can't remember. It was 3 or 4 vlogs ago. It's where we were. It was my grandma's birthday celebration, and Corey brought some. We shot a cow up in the bush, and then he carried the rib cage on 2 ends of a stick over it. Yeah.
You were very impressed. My children were impressed. Croy,
all the old men were impressed. They're because
impressed.
He just dropped the the stick, or he dropped the rib cage. Yeah, he lifted off his back and just put it into the back of the truck.
Yeah.
And when they got to the village, people were like, "Boom! Small stick and 2 full rib cage on each side. Who carried this?" I was like,
Wait,
crooked.
that's like you though in
Like
Canada.
they're like, oh man, one table is like helping him over here.
That's like you. Okay, so it's funny in Fiji, people are not impressed by a lot. They're impressed by Croy bringing down this huge amount of beef. Okay.
Yeah.
In Canada, when we go camping, you'll go up in the bush and like hack down a tree with your machete, and then haul it down the mountain. And our friends are like, "Whoa, Jon!" And I'm like in the background rolling my eyes, like, "Oh my gosh, stop trying to impress your friends."
Dude.
And our friends are like, "You're so cool."
You know what I just thought about was, and Kyle, you'll remember this when maybe not, but like we used to live in British Columbia and it's in a town called Kelowna
in Canada.
In Canada, and we went for like a fire with all the young adults from our church, like up on the mountain.
Yeah.
Up in the Mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I found like a pine tree on the way up there.
Okay.
And it was like a small pine tree. And I put it on my shoulder and like I carried it up to the fire spot. And I just remember like coming over the hill. And I don't know why I was thinking about this. Just like today or the day before. I was like, I just remember like coming over. I think it's because I remember Kyle being up there and he was like, oh my gosh, Jon. I'm like, oh my. I did not sign up. I'm just like, because we were having a fire. I was like, got to bring some firewood up. And I was like, there's this tree here. And I just took this is a small tree, guys. Okay. But Kyle is he's a friend in Kelowna. And he was always very encouraging. Made me feel like a man.
Yeah, now you're in Fiji and you have a Croy carrying half a cow and
I know.
You know.
Can't even come close. So who is Croy? We're talking about this person a lot.
Well, you explain it.
Huh?
I don't know. I feel like my explanation would be like he's a relative's kind of relative friend.
Yeah.
That's super jacked.
Yeah. And now he's a guy who's helping us with ripping some wood up in the bush and very skilled with the chainsaw. And he's from an area in Fiji, so to quickly summarize this, I guess, like, you know, Fiji was full of, you know, different tribes that were warring against each other all the time. And so in the past, the area or the group of islands, Loma Viti, where he's from, like, were enemies with where we are here in Vanrolemo. Yeah, okay. So we call each other Tau. And Tau, now it's basically totally flipped 180 degrees to where, like, it's a person that you can, like, joke with all the time. Or in Fijian, like, they say, like, spoil each other. Like, you know, if you're drinking kava together, you'd, like, just give them, like, a big bowl or double up on them or whatever. And so
I think personally, I would prefer to be everybody's Tau.
Really?
It's kind of fun. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't mind if I'm in, like, if I'm somewhere and, like, we're just, like, having a good laugh all the time.
You guys heard it here first. Stephanie wants to be everybody's Tau.
Yeah, because I'll get you back so hard. And I can't wait. I'm in it.
Okay, so I got a question here. Not to jump into questions right away. We've never actually done this before. Questions, but we're like...
I put a story up to say, hey, we're doing a podcast. Ask us some questions. I haven't read them. John's got the questions here.
Whatever, let's, like, have a conversation.
There might be a couple that I'm, like, hard pass where I'm not talking.
So this one comes from Dollface Charlotte on Instagram. Okay. What's it like living in Fiji as a Canadian? Did you find it hard? My husband is from Suva.
Okay. As a Canadian, I would say everything is opposite. I would say culturally, expect the opposite of what you're used to. I find almost in every single facet of culture, depending on where you are. In the village context, I guess, it's opposite. If you're going to Suva, it's really not a big deal. Suva is just city life with, I don't know, like a market with vegetables and maybe just less, like, hyper customer service based businesses.
Right.
I would say...
Like Suva wouldn't... So you're saying Suva wouldn't... Suva's a good place to go, like, as far as, like, not being too, like, shell-shocked.
Yeah, I would say, like, in my opinion, in, like, my experience, Suva is not huge culture shock. It's more of, like, a bustling city with lots of people. There's different, you know, attire. You have the expat community that's circulating. You have even, you know, people that are just local that are wearing shorter shorts than we ever see on our side. It's not a bad thing. It's just, it's less, you're less surprised, I guess. Where in the village,
So are short shorts really important to you, or are they like a thing
I
that
think
like,
very
or
important
are they
to
like
me.
are they? Well, I'm asking you because this is a conversation that we've had in the past.
Yeah.
Like the shorts are too short. The shorts, those are good shorts. Those are long enough. I need below the ankles, like the Key and Peele skit. But
Okay.
like, is it more like a thing where like you see somebody wearing like denim shorts or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, that feels like home, or that, or you're just like, oh, that's a familiar style.
Yeah,
More so,
I think like in Canada, I grew up in a beach city. So
right?
you have to take that into context because the side of Canada you're from is more conservative than mine.
Yeah,
Right?
I come from Mennoniteville
Yeah.
in Canada.
So where I'm living, like there'll be girls in their bathing suits, in bikinis with shorts, just walking in the mall. And they'll just come in and be kind of like going to tapoos and walk around in your bikini top. It's kind of, it's whatever. And you get used to it. Everybody in the summertime is in their bathing suits, and that's just how they live. They drive in them. Everybody's just kind of like half naked. And you get used to it. It's not weird. It's just kind of normal. You're just used to seeing that. And then,
You cannot do that. If you guys if you
yeah,
guys are
don't do
watching
that.
this, go to YouTube and type in Graham. For those of you who don't know, there's an old rugby commentator in Fiji called Graham Eden. Just type in Graham Eden impersonator. It's the best thing ever. That's for that.
I don't know.
You cannot do that.
I don't know what you're
Okay.
talking about.
Anyways.
So. Anyway, with shorts, I would say for me, I don't love wearing like, well, what's in fashion now is not even short shorts. It's like shorts that show your whole butt. It's way too far. Yeah, no, thank you. But I would say certain like length of shorts is good because I have like short legs, so I don't like
So
wearing
short
long
shorts extend your legs.
Yeah, they make my legs look longer.
I
And
feel like we kind
I
of missed the
remember
point here.
when we were dating.
We go back to the question. What's it like living in Fiji as a Canadian?
When we were dating, you were always like, wear longer shorts. And I was like, I have stubby trunk legs. I'm not wearing long shorts, man shorts. So when we're in Fiji and I go to Suva, I see that.
Right.
Bring it back around.
So.
And I go, okay, this is a little bit more like back home.
So maybe Charlotte's thinking of coming to Fiji. So like, we always talk about Fiji, but let's talk about Fiji more like the South Pacific. You know what I mean?
No, I can't. I don't know much about the South Pacific. Like, I don't know a ton, to be honest.
Right.
About other
But
cultures.
I think, and you guys can critique me or us for this, but I think that you're probably going to find the similar things across South Pacific. Like the city centers are probably going to be like the place, like if you're coming from a Western country, the city centers are probably where you're going to find the most familiar vibes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all I mean.
Well, and you can see that from like the expat community.
Right.
You have a big majority in Nandi where you have a lot of your hotels.
Mm.
And then I think you have a lot of your government nationals, expats that come into Suva because it's the capital.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I don't spend a lot of time there, so I don't know the
But
majority of
if you really want to feel alone, you should come to Vanuatu.
Why?
No, I mean like
you mean as like a Western person?
Yeah, I mean like if like a different environment but a lot of familiarity is what you're seeking, don't come to Vanuatu.
Yeah, actually.
But if you're seeking like adventure and you're seeking like just something totally fresh and something new and a place where you can like find a lot of the comforts of home.
Yeah.
But it just comes with like a little bit of work. Then like this is the place. Like the Northern Island in Fiji, Vanuatu is for you. Like
wait, I actually met a lady this last week. We're out in Naui. There's a new island development out there. We're having our friend had a birthday, so we're out there having lunch and a couple drinks together. And she was saying to me, I hadn't met her before. She was an older lady, not like old, but just older than me.
Careful now.
I know, I'm saying older than me.
Ooh.
And she was saying to me that they live in Savasau. And she was saying to me, yeah, like I went to Lumbasa, where like the area that you're in more. And I was wearing shorts and I felt so uncomfortable because I was getting so many dirty looks. And she's like, I went and got changed because of it.
Whoa. Hardcore.
And I was like, whoa, it's crazy that you actually live in Savasau.
Did she go buy a Suluchamba or? Oh.
But, she felt comfortable on that side wearing whatever she's wearing. And then she came to this side of the island, and she felt
Why this side of the island remained like an hour and a half
it's
drive?
not that far.
Yeah. Hour 45 minutes.
But it's definitely more conservative on our side.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So it's just a different vibe depending on where you are. So
what's it like living in Fiji as a Canadian? Did you find it hard?
As a Canadian, I found it hard. I found it really difficult to adjust, but I've had years.
Our Fiji is very different to what your Fiji might look like.
Yeah,
if you're saying your husband is from Suva, then I guess that can mean like a whole. Suva also has a lot of different looks to it as well, but I think it'll be easier for you to if you're thinking about moving here or whatever, it'll be easier to find a lot more familiar.
Yeah, and I think Suva has a lot more different communities, different pockets of people, different, people, what they're exposed to is different. So I think it will be a little bit more, I think like just city vibe compared to where we are. I think that's just very different. It will be an adjustment. And as a Canadian, I think, just kind of, I think culture, I think everybody, I would like to say before I came here, like, oh yeah, I know about culture, like I'm adaptable, and then I realized I'm not. Like, I think I realized, like, no, I'm really stuck in my ways. I have a difficult time adapting.
But isn't that like the first part of like addressing whatever you want to call it, a problem or whatever, but they say in like AA. I was never in AA. This is just from watching.
Like admitting and then accepting.
Yeah, like
grieving.
I am an alcoholic.
I don't know the steps, but
I do have like we're like saying like it is harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a big part, right? Of how that helps you get through it. Yeah. It's like, oh, this is hard. It's like, okay, but it's a bit like we shouldn't expect life to be easy. Like I was actually listening to Alex Hormozy talk about this today. Like it'd be like almost like it'd be a mistake to like walk through life and expect things to be easy. Like expect it to be difficult. Yeah. And I don't know like why people think like, oh, it's a struggle. Like, oh, it's hard. It's like for me, I'm like, people are like, well, you got to struggle. I'm like, yeah, I guess. Like if that's how you look at it, I don't expect life to be easy. Like it just is a struggle. Like
I think for me, like I grew up.
Like how many years have you owned a business for now?
I think in total almost 12.
Right. So we've been business owners for 12 years, and like we're still not millionaires.
No.
And like we get coached by people and mentored by people, and we have friends who make way more money than us, who are way more successful than us in a way shorter period. They're like, oh, I started my journey in entrepreneurship in like 2017. We're like, holy smokes, like what are we doing wrong, you know? And it's like, I was talking to Tui about this today, and it's like, like the overnight, people see like 13 years of overnight success or whatever you want to call it for us, right?
Yeah.
It's like you just see now, or like you might just see now, but like this is like the cool thing about telling our story and like doing this podcast and stuff is like, look, like this whole journey started like in the year 2010,
Yeah.
when we got married.
Yeah. And so like, long ago. And you guys didn't see my swollen feet and me whining to my husband that I'm like so exhausted and I'm like having to soak my feet at night in my hands and just
like I would go to. Anyways, we're kind of digressing now.
It's fine.
But yeah, it was a different point in life because I would come home from work like my 9 to 5, and then she was a waitress, so it's like, then what time do you leave for work? Like 4.
Yeah,
right?
It started when I started my company, our company now. But you told me I had a year, right? And I would work in the evenings, and I would waitress. So I would try and get clients during the day, from like 8 in the morning till I don't know, probably like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I'd work on that, and then I'd get ready for work, and then I'd go to work at around 4.
Come home at like midnight?
Midnight till 1 in the morning kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then do it again. And because you told me I had a year. So there was a lot of pressure to get that done. And we did that for a year. And then I slowly cut down my shifts and that kind of stuff. But I remember it being like fine. Like, we were young. We didn't have kids. You got to do the really tough stuff when you're young and you don't have children and you don't have obligations. Because if you can get through that period, then it's a little bit easier. Once you have kids and obligations and housing and all that kind of stuff, dude, it's so much harder. It's so
and
much
like
harder.
100%, like, if what you want to be is like the most dedicated entrepreneur, or the best businessman or woman, like, having kids is not a good idea.
No.
Like, because that does not help you with, like, or like if whatever it is, like, if you want to be the best employee, like, having a family is a huge negative to your productivity and like the amount of brain space that you have and everything. But like the reward, it far out, like, it far out, it like exceeds anything close to, like,
it's just harder to grind.
But it's totally worth it.
Okay, bringing it back to the culture thing. I think, like, something for me that I noticed, my parents have a house in Mexico when they were in there. Trust me, it's not a bougie situation. It's my parents bought the house or the property down there when they were in their 20s for really cheap. It was out in the desert, no power, no
not
nothing.
Bougie. My parents bought a property in Mexico in their 20s.
All right, let's go the long story.
I don't come from a rich family, but
okay. They moved down there in their 20s, and my dad told me they had $30, and they were doing missions down there, and they bought it with another guy to build a mission center and a Bible school. So that's what they've developed it into.
Good people.
Well, they are. They're the best.
Hey, I'm saying your parents are great people.
Well, if it was me, I'm a little more selfish. I would have made it into like this epic holiday house. But anyway, my dad got this disease called encephalitis when I was a teenager.
Craziness.
Where your brain swells, and typically people die or they become vegetables and they don't function. My dad had minor memory loss, which was a big miracle. And so we moved down to Mexico for a few months just so he wasn't working and he could go fishing. And because your brain takes a long time to heal. You kind of have to, there's no bandage on it. You have to just take a break and you just have to relax a little bit. He didn't remember people's names.
So if I get encephalitis,
yeah.
Are you saying that, like, I can move to like a tropical country and go fishing for healing?
No, I'm saying my dad was lucky and had a house down there that we can go to. So.
All right.
You can come here. You're already here, so.
Shoot. Yeah.
Congratulations.
True.
But anyway, when we were staying in Mexico, I love the culture down there. Like, I would say, though, it is probably 70-80% similar to Canada. In the minute, like the small things, okay? There's a few big things that make it very different. But in the everyday aspects of life, it's fairly similar to back home. So for me, I was like, yeah, culture is not a big deal. I think that's what I thought when I was young. Like, I went to Mexico, it was fine. Like, I adapted to those few small things.
I see what you're saying.
Those few big things, and it was cool. And then when I came, I was like, when you told me to come here, I was like, oh yeah, like, I'm actually pretty good at this. Like, that's what, I didn't say that out loud, but in my mind, I was like,
that's the wrong number, as Leaky says.
I was like, I think I can do that. And then when I came here, 90% of the things were opposite.
Right.
And it was like a slap in the face. And so I remember just being like, I don't think I can do this. I think I was pretty upset with myself and you.
Yeah, that's true. But we won't get into that. We want this to be a very good podcast.
Yeah. But Suva, I think, will be an ease in.
Yeah.
And just get your partner to explain some aspects of culture.
Yeah.
And make them do that. I hear from so many women, their partners are like, they'll just figure it out. And I'm like, no, they won't. They will cry at night in the room and you'll be like, why are you crying?
True.
That's probably what will happen instead of them sorting.
But crying's okay. But like, if you guys have questions, and like, reach out.
Yeah.
Like, there's an astounding amount of people who are like actually thinking about moving to Fiji, and we get messages all the time.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like, it's actually like really encouraging. Yeah. So like, if you're thinking about it and you're watching this podcast, just reach out to us.
Yeah. It's probably me that's going to answer you.
Yeah.
John is not typically the jump on the phone person. It's normally me. So
if
you're going to message, expect me to answer.
Talking about that. So the next question is, who's your hairdresser. But before we get into who your hairdresser is, because I think a lot of you are wondering about the purple hair.
Terrible hairdresser.
What do we always say, speaking about me not jumping on the phone with random women? Okay. Right?
Why is it all women? I think it is. Actually,
yeah, mostly. It seems to be.
It is.
There's not a lot of Fijian women pulling
one or two dudes.
There's not a lot. There's not a lot of Fijian women pulling their white dudes back to Fiji.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, come on, bring them back. Even it out.
Girls, go reel them in.
All the girls, Western girls, need help over here. But so we have kind of like always done this, or like it's pretty simple actually, just living above reproach, right?
Yeah.
Like as far as like.
So my dad had a rule for himself as a pastor. My dad's a pastor. And he always had a rule for himself when I was a kid. He didn't drive women home from church. He didn't stay at the church with women by himself. He didn't have women in his office by himself. He just made sure that was a standard of like nobody could accuse him of misconduct.
My dad was the same way.
And I really respected that.
My dad was out for a run once, and apparently my dad's obsessed with running. And so he actually just ran a half marathon.
Yeah, your dad's a great runner.
Yeah. And so he was out for a run. Apparently there's this lady that like hit on him on his run.
Oh,
I'm like, what? We should hang out. Like, let's go for coffee.
Flirt out at anywhere.
And then he just ran straight home.
I'd be like, hey baby.
Who?
It'd be a hard moment for me. Just
to lay it on. Hey. Yeah. Hey, married man with 2 children from a foreign country. Want to turn your life upside down mid-run?
It's the heavy breathing that gets people every time.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, moving on. But he ran like straight home. Just told my mom about it. Yeah, I'm just like picturing my dad be like,
nope.
What is going on? And just like running
that was awkward.
So anyways, like I think it's just so important, like living above reproach. There's so many situations that people put themselves in, and it's like, I don't care what other people think. And it's like, there is a certain amount of that in the right situations where like you need to do what is right. Well, whether that's biblically or whether that's, for your family or whatever, like your kids. But like sometimes you need to actually, it matters what other people think. And it's unnecessary to put yourself in situations.
Living above reproach just means that you live in a way that it's difficult to question you. It's difficult to question your integrity, your actions, especially with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
That people are not questioning you.
Yeah. Like I've talked about her before on this podcast. I think it was like one of the first episodes. But the girl, the company that we designed the Waka brand with, Alicia, like one of the things we did when we were having our first meetings, because there was like 2 years of meetings before we landed on all the brand stuff. So the Waka logo that you guys see today is a lot of conversations and coffee meetings and stuff like that. Yeah. And so when I first messaged, thank you, Alicia. The guys, you got to hit her up. And if you want to know who designed our brand, just DM us or private message us on Facebook, and we will 100% send you her website and all our contact details. Yeah. Like, don't expect to pay a little and get a lot. So you can have it cheap, you can have it fast, or you can have it great. You can have 2 of those things, but you cannot have all 3. Think about that.
Yeah.
But while we were going, when we first started out, I was like, hey, do you want to just like we need to have some meetings, sit down. Where do you want to meet? She's like, well, I never meet at home, like with guys. And so she's like, if you want to meet up at a coffee shop, like where there's people, like I'd love to do that, just because me and Kyle, her husband, have always decided to like live above, we've decided that like we don't want anybody to be able to question us. And it was cool to just know that like there's other people who thought on the same lines of things, because actually I think I had suggested like, do you just want to meet at home? Because I just assumed that other people were going to be home. Yeah. And then it was just like, oh yeah, that's great. Because then we were always out in public having our meetings. Yeah. Nobody could say anything.
Yeah, can't say anything. Well, I remember like when you were working at an automotive company or something, and there was a girl there.
Or something.
well, okay, an automotive company where you're doing sales or something. Anyway, there was a girl there that she lived in our area, and she kept suggesting to you that you guys carpool. And I remember you telling me, I know you wouldn't remember this.
What the heck?
But I remember you telling me, like, I've told her no, like, so many times.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember this at all.
And I remember her, like, just kind of throwing it out there and being like, yeah, you're like...
So you just run up in there and just like...
No. I just remember you saying to me, like, yeah, I've just told her no. It's kind of awkward, but it is what it is.
Hey guys, I'm a good guy, okay?
Yeah, you are a good guy.
So who is your hairdresser after all that?
I do my own hair.
There you go.
Which
you hit it first.
Some days, sometimes when I do it, this last time when I do it, don't look too closely. It didn't go that well.
No, but the first time you did it, you bleached all your hair, right?
Okay,
to an even amount.
The first time I did it, I went to a hairdresser in Limbasa because I was like, well,
tragic.
I should not do it.
Tragic.
I was worried about doing it myself, which I don't know why. I've done my hair. My mom's done my hair. I actually have Seriously, like a mediocre level of hair skills. And then I thought, you know what? There's a Chinese guy in Limbasa, and I was like, him and his wife both have colored hair. Like, it's like there's one that's like teal and pink or I don't know, something. And I thought, you know what? They probably know what they're doing. And their hair is harder to do because their hair is starting at black.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right. And then I went in and I started at, I think, 9 in the morning, and I didn't come home until like 10 at night. And the problem was, half of my hair was...
It was all day.
It was all day. Half of my hair was gray. Like the top part, not even the beginning part here, was like...
Were you here for that too?
I don't know what color...
Yeah, you were here.
Yeah. Back here, not starting up here.
It was all day.
Back here was blue. And I asked for purple hair, and they ran out of purple hair color. So they put it in blue. And then parts of it was purple, and then some of it was gray, and then
just to help everybody out, how much did you pay for that hairdressing appointment? Was it $400?
I paid $400.
Okay, that's crazy. All right, that is insanity, and she's never done it before, so it's the one time we did it.
I just was I knew how much product they were going to use on my hair. I know it's a process for the first time, so I was kind of expecting $300 to $400.
Okay, but what is the alternative? So you ordered product and you did it yourself?
I ordered product and I did it myself. It was $80 Fijian.
Okay, so you can go and spend 12 hours at a hairdresser in Fiji. Well, this is not all hairdressers.
Wait though. So if you're going to do the bleach, so what happens with hair that you want it to have bright color? You have to bleach it, so it needs to be like a blonde or a yellow, and then you put color on it. I don't know. Anyway, I had my friend bring me in bleach. It cost me about $35 Fijian to bring a huge amount of bleach in. And then the purple color, cost me about $80 to ship in. Still way cheaper, $110. And I should be able to do my hair for quite a few months. For us girls, we know our hair, our looks, expensive.
So Steph does her own hair.
I do my own. So. What
motivates? So this is coming from on Instagram, Maloney_Sandranu. What motivates you guys to be internet bloggers?
Oh.
So.
Do you want to go or do you want me to?
Yeah, 100%. This is my. Take a seat. So I would say.
All right. We'll allow you that one, sweetheart.
Yeah. So. Okay. I think what motivates us is the fact that, we decided that coming to Fiji was the right move for our family. But when we came, we didn't have a product. We didn't have any products to sell to anybody or to, any businesses to start. But we're like, okay, like if we want to embrace social media, because we believe that like social media is king and creating content is king, the best way to do that is just by telling our story. And we're not great content creators. All we do for everybody is just document our lives, what we do. We do a bit of like more of the creation stuff now because we have Tui, our content manager, and he helps us like with like the creative side of things. But like just what motivates us to do the social media is the fact that like your story is like the most powerful thing that you have to share. And like you might think it's not like important, but put importance aside, it's relatable. And that's why people will buy products, or that's why they will purchase courses or whatever it is you have to sell to them. It's because they can relate with you.
And it builds trust.
Yep.
Like you are sharing yourself with people.
Yep.
You are giving them who you are to say, trust me. And I think also when we started, we saw that in Canada, this was a really big way to market. And if you look in the South Pacific, and specifically in Fiji, there's not a lot of people that do this. There's not a lot of people that do content creation, which makes sense because you can't monetize it.
No.
Right? You can't make money from it in the traditional way of Facebook or whatever paying you.
Like people think like, oh, we just do things for clickbait and get paid. It's like,
I wish.
No, we get paid a little bit from YouTube.
Yeah. But not much.
But yeah, not much.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
And so, yeah, that's I guess our motivation.
Yeah.
And like we also believe at our core that like honest Christian business people can change the world. Yeah. I do believe that because like entrepreneurs or whatever, like business owners employ people and they have customers coming into the shops, right?
Yeah.
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 So,
and I think like it's a more interesting way to do business. Where are you going? Nobody knows. He has never left a podcast before and just left me hanging. I'm going to be honest. I think I might have to cut this scene out. I'm not really sure what to talk about. Oh, he's got to blow his nose. All right. Well, that happens in life, right? So we're going to just take a hiatus, I guess. Anyway, we'll go on. Actually, do you know what's really funny with the social media stuff? You'll see Jon on there a lot, and you won't see me as much. It's because I'm still camera shy. I don't like it. Our content creator, he always videos me, and he'll see me like, I'll look at the camera, and then halfway through, I'm like, I can't keep eye contact. I'm just a hard eye dodge. I don't want to be on film. I am, if you get me in the mood that sounds bad. Okay. If you get me in the routine of being on film all the time, then I'm okay. Like if it's consistent and you're just always pressuring me, I'll be there. I'm like, hi, it's okay. I can make content or whatever, but I just kind of get left out a lot of this stuff. I feel like I'm around and our children get filmed and Jon gets filmed and I'm just kind of like making dinner or something in the background. So I don't have to do a lot of it. And so after a while, I'm out of routine and I'm like, yeah. And then two will go to film me and I'm like, I am so uncomfortable now. Don't put me on camera. I don't know. It's just something that doesn't come naturally to me. And I also feel a little bit, I don't know, we'll have people say hello to me in town like, oh, you're the Waka family. And I die a little bit. I don't know.
But we appreciate it.
We appreciate it. But I'm also just like, oh, hi. I don't know. I'm a little more hesitant to, not people greeting me, but I feel a little bit embarrassed about the entire thing. I think in the depths of my soul. And I think because I'm like, oh, you know more about me maybe than I not want you to know, but I'm used to people knowing. Because I'm an open book. I don't mind sharing my life. I don't.
Say that again.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's weird when that's a total stranger. It's just it feels so different. So.
Okay. How about this question?
Okay.
All right. You ready for this?
I am.
You sure?
No.
Best. This comes from. Actually, maybe I'll just leave the person unnamed.
Okay.
What best ways to cope with the loss of a close friend?
Oh, I don't know. I have never lost a close friend. I have lost my grandfather. I've lost my cousin.
I've lost a close friend.
Okay, so who?
Eliki.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, our eldest son Eliki is named after my cousin brother, my dad's elder brother, as in Fiji is called Talebu. So, like you have a lot of respect for your dad's elder brother, right? And so he was a bit older than me, and so in 2013, he was murdered. And so we always had plans about doing farming together and doing all these things. And when I lived in Fiji, we were really, really close. Cousin brothers. Like it's called. You say cousin brother, like, but you can just say brother.
Yeah.
Because and you say, oh, really? Is your real brother? Like, yeah, like cousin brother, but brother.
Yeah.
And so it's like people who say brother and sister. It's like it might be their cousin, it might be their real sister, right? And so, so he was murdered in 2013, and then. Yeah, so that's actually another reason why we're in Fiji as well. Part of the reason is because like of that seed that I guess was planted, like from when you met Iliki once, when we first came, and there was always a seed planted there that like he was gonna be the guy, on the farm, and probably doing what maybe a lot of you guys are doing or thinking about doing is like sending money home to like have somebody you trust to plant Yangona or plant Dalo or start a business or whatever that is.
Like your go-to guy.
Yeah, your go-to guy, right? Like there's a family member that I really, really trust, and I'll send him the money. He's going to get things done. And works for some people, doesn't work for other people. Just depends on your guy on the ground. And so, so he was murdered. And then in 2013, I guess there was... 3 years later, we had Iliki.
Yeah.
And our boy, and we named him after him, obviously. And
but
that was like just for the backstory.
The question is, how did you cope with it?
Man, I remember exactly where I was when I got the call from my dad, and like I picked up the phone. And remember, you were with me.
Yeah.
I used to buy and sell motorcycles, like for a hobby that paid for itself. And I was working on one of my motorcycles at the shop, an automotive shop I used to work at. I was sitting in the back. We were in the back corner of the shop. And then I got a call from Dad. And he's like, son, I have bad news. And then he just starts weeping on the phone. Just started crying and crying and crying. I'm like, and like, I don't know, whoever's asking this question, and maybe somebody can relate with this, but like you get that call and it's like, you're like, holy smokes, just freaking get to it. Because like, what are we talking about? Like did mom die? Like something freakish. Like, did you and mom break up? Like, honestly though, like you're like, things is something that I don't expect, that I would never expect. Yeah. Like something terrible's happened.
Please get the bad news out.
Yeah. And then it's like, it's about Iliki. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, we just been there, you know, we were just pulling cassava with Leaky like a little while earlier when we had visited Fiji. And I was like, he's like, yeah, Leaky's dead. And I was like, what? That's my exact reaction. I'm like, what? No, what? No. Like, this can't be true. And then, to fast forward, like, it was like, okay, so I just started crying on the spot, like weeping. Remember, I was just like weeping there. We were crying and crying and crying. And then, went home and I called into my boss the next day because I just cried all night. And then like slept a little bit and then woke up crying again. And then just called my boss. I'm like, I can't, like, my brother got murdered. And then I'm not coming to work. And just stayed in bed the whole day, just crying.
Yeah.
So that is, anyways, that's like my story of an experience with the loss of a close friend. I think what helped me a lot, and I don't know what position the person who's asking this in, but it's like, it's having somebody to confide in, and having, like I talk about all the relationship, like all the time, is like your relationships will make or break you. Like your close group of friends, in this case, like I had a really good group of friends growing up. Then, the next stage of life was Stephanie. And then I made a whole new group of friends in the city that we lived in. Yeah. And like God has blessed me with like these like brothers throughout my life. And so having Stephanie as my best friend, just to, bounce ideas off of and, go through things like this, no negative thoughts or like, why them? Why not me? And I think, even now, like talking about this in the moment, it's like, well, I remember like sitting with you, and we haven't actually talked about this for a long time. And it was like, okay, well, it wasn't you, it was him. So like, you better make sure you do something, with the life that you have, right?
Yeah.
Because like, you better make it worth it. You better make your life, your breath, and mean something.
Yeah.
Because like, if you feel bad about it, then turn that like sadness into like purpose, basically. So maybe that's what I would say is like, turn your sadness into purpose. And like, what would that person have wanted for you? And make sure you go out and live that life to the fullest. And like, this maybe.
And it's not to please that person. It's
No,
just the fact that like, life is short. Like, it's funny actually that you're saying like Alihi is your close friend. Like, we actually have a very similar, like my oldest cousin, my first cousin, died in a car crash. Like I was saying, oh, not my best friend, but my cousin.
Right.
And then you were saying, oh yeah, my cousin brother. It's in your mind.
So it's your cousin brother too.
It's my cousin brother.
Yeah.
And he died in a car crash. He was coming to visit us, and he died on a head-on collision. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, he's such a vibrant, exciting person. And then you're like, what? You died out of everybody? Like, and your cousin, you're like Alihi, best guy. To me, like, when I came and visited, he was like the nicest person to me. Like, in Fiji, he made my trip good. He was like, yeah, you are like the coolest person around. And I just remember being like, oh yeah, your cousin, like, he is so cool. He's so nice to me. Like, anything he wants, give it to him. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just say like, maybe turn your sadness into purpose.
Yeah.
And not because of like, that's, you got to do it. Like, you got to make sure you live for both of you, but it's like, just live life. And we were talking about this at Bible study last night, and maybe this is like this part of the podcast where we, talk about what we learned in the Bible this week. And so I guess just because we were talking about it, and it's also been like a very important part of my life the last 2 weeks, is like, you get to. You don't have to, you get to. I don't know why that word came to me. I think I was actually listening to a very secular guy talk about his philosophy, or the way that he lives his life. And he's like, change the way you talk to yourself in the morning. It's like, you don't have to wake up. You get to wake up.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like, how, we can be like, hear like things from people who aren't Christians and like feel like deeply affected. I still don't know how that works, but that did help me. And like, so like, you don't have to wake up every morning, but you do get to, if you got to wake up this morning, and that's a blessing. And you're very fortunate for that. And I'm very fortunate for that. Like, you don't have to be a parent. There's lots of people out there who have lost their children or lost a child or aren't able to have kids and they wish they could. And that's all they ever actually want, was to like be a parent. And like, you get to do it. So like, you get to, you don't have to, whatever the thing is, you get to. I don't have to, I get to. So just change maybe the way you talk to yourself. And that, like, I actually think like, I think that, I believe that there's good and that there's evil, and that, Jesus and God, represent the good side, if you want to say that, and that Satan represents the evil side.
Yeah.
And that like, the way that we talk to ourselves actually like it's not always like good versus evil, but it does help for us to like talk to ourselves in a way that like changes the way we think.
Yeah.
So like, I get to, I don't have to, I get to. And sometimes we think that like, it's just like saying bad things and that's what's bad. It's like, no, but it's also like just not appreciating. Like, Satan would also like love for us to not appreciate life.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, I have to wake up now. I have to go work out. I have to do all this stuff. Like, I have to handle all these problems this morning. Like, my kids are already up. Like, that's how I feel some mornings.
Yeah.
It's like, no. You get to do it.
Be happy about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing for me, like, I think with my cousin passing away, one thing that I knew that is he loved Jesus, and that is a comfort in death, knowing like, okay, death is not the end, like eternity is awaiting, and I will see him again, and I feel confident in that, and I think like, I don't know, that there's a hope in that, and I've had friends that have passed away that I was unsure of where they're ending up in eternity, and that's so much harder to process and walk through. And I think like I've learned as I've gotten older to find hope in the joy of eternity. Is that's a big fear, I think, for most people, is like death and uncertainty and loved ones going, and being left without them. And I think like the closer the friendship, or the closer the relationship, the more difficult it is to work through. But I think like as time goes on, I think the longer you cope with it, the little bit more ease that you feel. But at the same time, like that trauma will never leave. Like I think like you learn to deal with it the longer you experience it, but that will never leave you. And I think if you learn to talk about it, you learn to you know what I did? This is how I coped with my cousin. I sent him Facebook messages.
Like after he passed away. I didn't know about that. Was anybody managing his account? No. So that could help. Send them some messages on Facebook. Yeah. Because there may be some things that you feel like you need to say. And like, I believe in eternal life. I believe that there's a heaven and that there's a hell. And if you writing things down helps you process things, like that is heard by God. And I kind of don't know if that's actually relayed on to like the person who passed away or whatnot, but it helps to.
I don't know. Who cares?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like it helps to just put your, like we all deal with different things. And actually, like what I want to say at this point in the podcast is like, if you guys are going through something that's tough, because we have had messages recently of people that are coping with some like really tough situations, please reach out to us. We have resources at hand, or people and organizations that we can point you guys towards that can help you guys have these kinds of conversations with each other. You can cry with each other. I'm almost crying right now. You just finished crying.
I'm such a crybaby.
And it's important to just talk. You might not have anybody to talk to. So please reach out to us. Send us a message. It's easy. And we'll try to do our best to like point you in the right direction, or, help you out.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And I'm like a big, like, I don't like talking about this kind of stuff because I'm a big baby about it. But yeah. As you can see, I don't tell you everything because I just cry about it.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know you sent messages to Grant. That's cool. That's it's also like, why would you have told me that? Like, I don't know, like, like it's not like I can't believe you never told me that. It's like, I guess like some things just don't need to be talked about, right? Like it's not like you're hiding it.
It's like a weird thing, not a weird thing, but just something I was like, oh, this is what I would say to you.
Yeah, right. And you're crying again. So this brings us.
Wait, do we have any more questions?
No more questions.
Okay, good.
This brings us to
crying over here.
Yeah, gosh, get it together, man. This brings us to this part of the podcast. It's a game, and it's called We're Not Really Strangers. And this is...
We're not. We're married.
We're married. This is the couples edition. So this is actually a really cool game. You can buy it online, and there's a friend edition. It just helps start conversation. So this is level 3, and it is reflection. We played through all of level 1, part of level 2. We just skipped level 3. What about our relationship are you proudest of? I haven't read this question. You guys saw me pick it out of here. I'm like, that could be a good question. She doesn't know the question.
I never know. I always get put on the spot. I would say that we're still friends.
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
I would just say that we still like each other. Like, if you get to live in our house, we bicker all the time, but we actually really like each other. We like hanging out. We like doing things together. Yeah. We should still like each other genuinely. We like to fight. We like to have fun. Mm-hmm. We like to discuss. But at the end of the day, John and I are still best friends. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something I'm very proud of.
Yeah. What am I most proud of?
I took the best answer. Too bad. Sorry.
So, yeah, I think that's the best answer. Maybe I'll go with the opposite. What am I least proud of?
Wow. No, that's not. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I just think that we could do a better job. Maybe there's other people out there that struggle with this as well. But, like, intentional time spent together with the Lord. We do it sometimes. We don't do it hardly often enough.
Yeah.
Because we never found a rhythm. Like, you have your thing. I have my morning routine. And you know what? Actually, I would say this is on the man out there. This is your job. It's your job to take the responsibility in your household to lead your family towards Christ. And we pray with our kids in the evening. We try to, take the most advantage of situations to point them towards Jesus. Call it brainwashing, but if I don't brainwash my kids, somebody else is going to do it for me. And that's a fact, right? And so, like...
I don't think I'd ever use the word brainwashing.
Well, some people say that. They're like, let your kids choose. It's like, yeah, well, if you don't choose for your kids, somebody else is going to do the choosing for you, right? And we see that all the time.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's something that I could do a better job of as a man of the house or just as a person in this relationship. So that's probably like maybe what I'm least proud of, if you want to say it that way.
Well, that wasn't the question, but that's all right.
But we get it. Well, guys, it's been fun. Thank you guys for joining us. This has been nice. Man, you cried on the podcast tonight.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Journey.
Okay, I'm dying. Just erase that from your memory. It never really happened.
Yes, but we'll catch you guys here again next week.
Yeah.
We're trying to get this uploaded as soon as we can.
Wait, and this podcast was sponsored by Fresh Tea and Coffee in Sengangas between Savo and Mombasa. Checks out. We have pizza. Have a good night.
Peace.